manage marketing for Greater China, which includes the China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong markets based out in Hong Kong. I'm invited by Casey over here just to talk about SoftLayer and answering the two major questions that I have been getting in the market. First one is, what is SoftLayer? So SoftLayer is basically a cloud infrastructure as a service provider that is based out in Dallas, Texas. It was founded in 2005 and bought by IBM last year. And what we have in terms of products and services is we offer customers bare metals and virtual service network, as well as private cloud solutions and more. We're actually growing a lot over the last year with our data centers covering North America, which includes the US, Canada, Europe, as well as the rest of Asia. So we have been doing a lot of activities to actually go to the market and talk to our customers, potential partners. I will give you an example of our customers who have actually started up with SoftLayer and have been growing exponentially. For example, WhatsApp, they started a long time ago, which I'm sure you've heard about that, and everybody's using it. Outlays and 6Wave, these are the big gaming companies who started on SoftLayer as well. So there are a lot of examples that we can talk about later on when you have time after this session, just to get to understand more about SoftLayer. The next question is, why SoftLayer is better? So basically, SoftLayer has its first industry network within network topology that offers elegant access, and it also has a a very easy to use customer portal, and as well as a robust API, which offers a full access remote control for your service management options. So these are the key aspects which we normally would tell our customers. And speaking of our key advantages over here, with the IT industry, or the companies are actually becoming more tech savvy, like all the startups over here. Thanks so much for the story. It was very inspiring for me as well as a marketing manager. We have a lot of the customers are actually looking for flexibility on their cloud products and services, and desires a lot of control from their end. So as a startup, you guys can actually develop your own cloud based on your market strategy, your development plan, and have your own choice of different hypervisors and different technical components, which can actually target to your own needs. So I believe that's all I can talk about.
Okay, thank you, Winifred. Okay. Also, we have to say thank you to Dragon Law. People always ask me, hey, Casey, do you know a cheap lawyer? I said, wait till the end of happy hour and you'll find me easily. No, just kidding. Dragon Law, Daniel, come on up. So Dragon Law is a legal tool for the 21st century, and we're here to help startups. So tell us a little bit about Dragon Law.
Thank you very much, Casey. So yes, I am a recovering lawyer. Casey, first of all, my apologies. About 2 years ago, after having practiced as a lawyer in banking and private equity for over a decade or so, I sent an email to Casey and told him that I was going to try and help startups in Hong Kong. I've acted for banks and VC firms for all those days, and I've noticed that the guys on the other side of the table didn't get much help, and I thought I was going to go out there and launch the world and help these guys. I sent an email to Casey and said, you know what, Casey, all you need is a few presidents. We'll knock this thing out. It'll take 5 minutes. 2 years later, I think, just over, I'm stood here now, a little bit late to the party, with an app that we've spent now 24 months building to try and do part of that and a whole lot more. So I guess this journey started with an idea that startups needed help in one small area, and that was fundraising, I guess, originally, and structuring and getting businesses started. 2 years working with very small businesses has taught me, and now a team of 17, that actually this is a market which had very little, if nothing. The documentation that we saw in the market was borrowed from Google, it was borrowed from friends, it was stolen from other startups. It wasn't read, it said things which probably founders didn't want to read when they went into it. We realised that there was a lot we could do here to help. But we couldn't help it being a law firm. We couldn't go out and just say, okay, we're going to charge you guys by the hour to help you the way we charge our old clients. We couldn't really go out and be a cheap law firm and say, okay, we'll charge you less. None of these things worked for us as a business, and more importantly, none of these things worked for our clients. Our clients told us that very quickly. They said, okay, you're still charging us by the hour, it's still very expensive, thank you very much, we'll still go and use Google. Fortunately for me as a lawyer, I was able to work in a new environment. It wasn't a law firm, where the word innovation wasn't punished by being fired. And we had a bunch of really smart brains that we managed to put together, who've now spent nearly 24 months building a web app, which essentially takes a business from square one, from raising that first dollar, from setting themselves as a business, through to getting investment term sheets signed electronically, digitally signed and stored away, and all those other things. It helps them employ staff, it helps them get agency agreements, appoint distributors, it helps them go overseas. We've done all the things we've been told essentially over the last 2 years that these businesses need. It's just taken us a little longer than expected. But please go and meet Terry and Ryan, who are here. Terry's our CTO and Ryan is a former lawyer as well. He's our product director, and she can show you how these things work, and I'll leave you to enjoy the panel. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, and lastly, so you have your cloud, you have your legal tools, and now you have your accounting software. Adrian from Cornerstone is up here. Come on up. So Adrian is helping startups by offering them cost-effective accounting tools in the cloud. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so basically what Cornerstone is, I mean, at the core business is an accounting firm, but what we're doing, right, is tearing away the old school method of doing things, like just handing your receipts over to your accountant and then waiting until the end of the year to get a tax return. So what we're doing is employing new cloud technology, makes information more transparent, making your decisions a hell of a lot more current as well. So what we're trying to do here is bridge together technology with accounting, using different types of cloud technology, including Xero, QuickBooks Online, right, tying in with e-commerce infrastructure like Shopify and e-commerce. So I think what we're trying to, there's a few of us around here that we're just looking to change the way that businesses interact with their accountants, right? We're talking about being more collaborative and being trusted business advisors, not just at the end of the year. It's through the phase of your business's life cycle. So.
All right, great. All right, thank you, Adrian. So the three sponsors will be back there, so after we finish the break, we'll go to lunch, you guys can talk to them directly. All right, so here we go. This is the final panel of the day. We're going to take a look. We're going to go to the year 2019. How many people have seen the movie Interstellar, the new movie that just came out last week, yeah? Yeah, there's a scene in the movie, which is not a spoiler, it's quite interesting. The Matthew McConaughey's an astronaut, he goes to a planet, very dense gravity, and every hour on the planet, 8 years go forward in the regular time. So he goes down to this planet for 3 hours and comes back, and the crew on the ship is 24 years older. So pretend we're going to a black hole right now. Close your eyes, and we're going to go to the year 2019. If your picture is on this slide, please come to the front, and we will be doing a panel on the future of startups in Hong Kong. So let's give them a round of applause while they walk up here. Sam, Uli, Jermaine, Shirley, who's not here, Elad, Allison, Duncan, Danny, and in replacement of Jeremy from KPMG, the always awesome Anson Bailey will be taking the KPMG seat. Is there enough seats for everybody? Does everyone have mics? No mics. Oh, they're right here, sorry. Pass them down.
We get another chair.
Oh,
Cool. I'll stand.
okay, thank you. As the awesome host that he is, Anson will stand. He wants to just be taller than everybody else, I know.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly introduce the panel. As you already met Danny Young, Groupon, Frenetics. He's also the founder of a new fund called SXE, not SEX, which I believe is the name. That's always on my mind, it's easy to remember. Duncan is from Hackcelerator. He's from the UK, but spends a lot of his time in Guangzhou, China. Strange. Okay, but he's building robots, so that's exciting. Sermaine is from the legal profession, doing a lot of M&As and IPO stuff for startups in China and Hong Kong. Allison, as maybe some of you may have known, is from Exit General Assembly, now an angel investor, and also she's the lead of Ask Allison in Jumpstart Magazine, right? Very exciting. Sam, who was here yesterday, and apparently just moved in here to do talks, is the head, Asia regional head of Uber. You know, that app that you can order taxis from and black cars. So, and then part of the sharing economy. Hillary, last name is Samika. Hillary is new to Hong Kong, but she's done a lot of work in London, and she's running the Blueprint Accelerator in Quarry Bay, part of Swire's new thing. We'll be looking at that. And Elad is the man, he's the counsel of the Consulate General of Israel. Whoa, what a diverse panel, right? And of course, Anson Bailey, as always, the man, the legend of KPMG, and just a gracious host. Thank you so much for having us here today. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about is the future. And I'm going to start with Sam, because he asked me, how hard are these questions going to be? So I'm going to ask him. And I'm going to let you as well ask some questions, because I think this is going to be the most interesting panel, because first of all, these people are all new to the StartupsHK. We haven't really interviewed any of them before. I just met this guy today, talked to him on the phone. And we live in the same area, which is funny. I think it's an interesting look, and I think next year you'll see a lot more of them speaking in the community about what's happening. So let's start with Sam. How many people here use Uber? Raise your hands. Okay, most of everybody here uses. I think they've done a great job in Hong Kong and in Asia launching the product. But we're not going to talk about Uber though. We're going to talk about the sharing economy. In 2019, Sam, what's going to happen in this world of sharing? GoGo Van, doing well, going to be $1 billion company, I think. And what else is going to, I just heard there's a sharing of haircuts. So you can get into, they'll bring a hairdresser to your house and cut your hair in the US. 2019 Hong Kong, what will we be sharing in 5 years?
Wow.
On the spot, give it to us.
What's Uber? Right. I think to think about what's going to happen in 2019, it's easy to look at what's going on already in a lot of other places. And I can use the Uber example in transportation right now. Right now, there isn't a place in the entire. I mean, right now, more than 60%, I believe, of the U.S. population can get a car in under 15 minutes using the Uber platform. Underemployment is almost becoming a thing of the past because teachers who work until 3 p.m. can now go on the Uber platform and just make money from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. My sister does it in the United States just because she's underemployed. She's a teacher and she doesn't quite make enough to provide for her family. So I think these are two examples of just areas that using collective resources can go towards making the economy more efficient. And I think the big hurdle and the thing that is the most important and that Uber is doing well, which is what's allowing this to happen, is a constant focus on safety and reliability. And if you can get people used to the safety and the reliability of the sharing economy, then really the sky's the limit.
I want to go over to Duncan now quickly and talk about his work in robotics. So we had a talk, so Hackcelerator, if you don't know, is a hardware accelerator in Shenzhen, okay? So they bring teams from around the world that want to make the next IoT device, robot, or whatever, and help them to accelerate that process. So, Duncan, in your mind, what is China going to be producing in 5 years? Terminators? Or those little vacuum cleaning things that run around? What are they making?
Yeah, this is a good starting point. So if anyone's thinking I'm talking about Terminators, that's not really what I mean by robotics. Although they will come eventually. Right? Yes. The robots are coming. I mean, that's still the way we see it, and it's more of a kind of a sector of an emerging trend of hardware, which is having massive expansion at the moment. You mentioned the Internet of Things, wearables, and the third one, which is kind of underserved at the moment, which we're seeing, is robotics. Basically just means any smart device which has part of the functionality based around actuation, automation, or movement. A lot of the mechanics of it are very simple, But what's really interesting is the emergence of software as the most important part of that. So you mentioned like the Roomba. The Roomba is the first, I would say, really mass adoptions of a robot in the home. And the most important thing about that product is not mechanically how great it is. It's actually just the software that it has, and that's why they couldn't be copied. And we invest in startups, and we see a lot of hardware startups. We just finished a batch of 10 startups who graduated in San Francisco, where everybody uses Uber, and 50% of them are in robotics. And I think that's a trend that we're going to just continue to see happening, particularly in China, because robots require pretty heavy investment into manufacturing.
One thing I'm happy is that my Roomba hasn't tried to kill me yet, so I think that's a good sign, or a bad sign.
Wait till it gets hacked.
Oh, great. Interesting. Yes, good point. So, Rain, what do you think about that? Do you see a lot of hardware startups coming out of China? What kind of startups are you seeing? Because you're seeing these great expansive startups and you're doing a lot of legal work for them. What are you seeing in this area in the next 5 years? Will it be more growth, more cooperation between Hong Kong and China, or is China just going to do their own thing continuously?
I see the trend of the China startups, actually the funds, not only the startups but the funds, they are all eyeing on the overseas market, not only the developed markets like US, Canada, UK or EU, but at the same time they are already eyeing on South Asian markets or markets that are under development because they could see themselves there doing what China have been doing in the past 15 years. And startup, like the technology startup, they are not only focusing on the selling of stocks or whatever, but they are doing a lot of different aspects at the same time. So it's really a very, very active market, and they are doing a very interesting concept. For example, one day I read an article about a startup. They are doing a gift concept, like helping the 90s, the very young people to buy and sell gifts in between themselves. So they have all this, because the market is so huge, so they could effort to have a lot of different kind of startups, like a lot of companies to do a very niche market. So this is the trend, and I could see every niche market, they are still growing very, very fast.
That's interesting. What do you think of their cooperation with Hong Kong? Do you think that they'll move into Hong Kong stuff, or do you think Hong Kong startups will try to go into China? In the next 5 years we're looking at. Or do you think that's still a separate thing?
I would recommend every startup to really look into the China market because it may not be easy to understand the culture there, to have your product successfully launched there, honestly, because they have a different set of culture. But on the other hand, the China funding and the China companies, especially those developed ones, as I said just now, they really want to expand themselves not only in China, because the China market, you really need to act very, very fast to gain the market share, and you don't know how much money you need to spend just to get some clients. For example, the Didi Dadi, I don't know whether you heard about this story in China, that there are like two competing taxi services company like Uber, and each of them, they give the driver $10 per ride, as long as the client use this app to engage such service. And they spend like millions or $100 millions of dollars just on the marketing campaign. So the China market is really, really competitive. So they are always looking at opportunities overseas. And first of all, they would look at Hong Kong because we have something that they don't have. I will talk about the historical background and our knowledge to the Western world. And the fundings, they really welcome Hong Kong startups, but of course they need to see some China resources there. And actually there are a lot of startup Hong Kong-like incubators in China as well. So if you have time, I strongly encourage you to join some conferences there. It's really useful. And the funds, they welcome, honestly.
Great. How about you, Danny? Looking at, knowing what you know about, building your company, selling your company, and then now becoming an investor and looking at China and looking at medical biotech stuff. What do you see next 5 years? Will you be actively investing in what kind of startup do you think? And do you think it'll be in Hong Kong, or do you think you'll be looking at China or whatever, based on your personal experience?
I mean, based on my personal, I think China is always going to be in the scope of things, right? You can't ignore China with 1.3 billion population, right? You just have to you know, even for what we're doing with Next, I mean, there's 16 million births annually in China. Even if we get a small fraction of that, it's still a very successful company, right? So, I mean, China's definitely going to be in the scope of every talk in terms of, you know, investing and such, right? Where I see in 2019 in the future of healthcare wise, I see that, you know, when you guys go see the doctor in 2019, DNA testing will be part of your annual body checks, right? So, and then based upon that report, in 5 days, we'll actually be able to see then what your probability of getting, you know, certain cancers or certain diseases, in which then you can prevent that from happening. So I think that's going to be really a key shift that you're going to change from the Asian society, which is very reactive right now when we look at medicine, to a very proactive way where we look at medicine, and that's all part to DNA testing.
So you're thinking that the startups will be revolving around medical?
Healthcare related, I think it's going to be a really big disruption.
Big disruption, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of work to be done in that area, especially in China, right? Anson, you guys, KPMG just launched a, what, $100 million fund?
We did.
For startups? Are you going to be funding some of this stuff out here? What cut of that is for Asia? And how much are you personally responsible for?
99.9%. Casey, no, great to be here this morning. It's great to have everybody here in our offices. But I think just in terms of 2019, what do we have ahead of us? I think big picture, the connectivity is going to be absolutely amazing.
What's that?
50 billion connected devices by 2019. In terms of the new economy, $19 trillion worth of new business coming to us, and probably a lot of services that we never ever thought we would need or use. So I think it's very exciting, and I think certainly from a KPMG point of view, and I have to tell you that I feel completely overdressed. Perhaps I should take off my tie.
You can take off your tie, it's okay. Music!
Take that. No, Casey, calm down. I think the interesting thing though is, yeah, I mean, I just see great potential. And I think here, I work across China, so we work with a lot of those Chinese entrepreneurs. We work with a lot of those multinationals as well. But I'm very excited about the future here in China. And I think the testament to that is that, you know, we are going to be setting up our global data insights lab here. So for our data analytics team, we're going to be based in Hong Kong. We're going to have teams around a couple of other locations in the world, but this new data analytics lab is going to be based here in Hong Kong. As you mentioned as well, Casey, $100 million US fund to invest in data analytics businesses, advisory type businesses, software technology, and I think we're really excited about that. So we're certainly we're out of our comfort zone in terms of this is very new to us, but it's also important that we do it, because I think if you're not prepared to make this transition, you're going to be left behind.
Very good, very good. So you're betting big on data analytics, obviously, since that's KPMG's background. So that's very interesting. Money behind it. When you say lab, you mean accelerator, incubator type
Yeah, well,
room.
yeah, and basically, one of the things that we want to do is we want to teach. We want to make sure that big business understands the importance of the data analytics. And I think big business now, a lot of the corporates are suddenly realizing that they've got to be doing this. The customer analytics now is a big part of their life. And what surprised me, Casey, is that we are now working on big projects, even with state-owned enterprises, who have suddenly realized that they need to understand their customers much better.
Excellent, excellent, very interesting. Okay, that's a great segue to Hillary, who is in charge at Swire. So Swire has an accelerator called Blueprint. If you're around on Monday, Blueprint, what did I say? Did I say something wrong?
In charge of Swire.
Oh, in charge of Swire and Blueprint. She's amazing.